That advice also carries forward to if you're going to be, say, disconnecting your sway bars. You have a Rubicon, it has an electronic sway bar disconnect. Maybe you've added aftermarket.
Hello, BRB Adventure here with what I'm going to call a reaction video to one of KC250's videos. Here we go. Casey's video was published in 2019, so it's a little old, but it came up in the suggested video feed a while ago. So I had a look at it. I'm sub to KC250 and I have had one-on-one chats with him over Instagram. I think he's a pretty good guy overall, but I wanted to touch on a couple of things he mentions in this video. The link to his video is in the comments.
My name's Casey and this is my Jeep. And on this week's upload, I wanted to make a video for anybody who has not ever gone off-roading and you're kind of wondering what should you be doing to prepare and what kind of things should you be thinking about before you head out. And I'm hoping that by watching this video, I help out all the new wheelers and off-roaders that haven't gone out before, and you can find some useful information in this video. If you're already a seasoned off-roader, stay and watch the video. Maybe there's a few things that you maybe haven't thought about before, or maybe there's something that I'm not thinking about. Go ahead, leave a comment down below, and that'll just help out.
I fall into the seasoned off-roader category to start things off. So I've been around for a while. I've been four-wheeling since forever. Well, I got my first four-wheel drive in the 80s, and I've had Toyotas, I've had Land Rovers, I've had more Toyotas. Now I have a Jeep. So yeah, I've used to work on a ranch, and I drove a 1966 Ford Bronco around all over the place. Man, I sure wish I had that thing these days. Anyhow, I digress.
First tip that I want to give to you guys is find some other people that are interested in wheeling. It may vary a little bit in your region, but I highly recommend checking out some of the other off-road communities in your area.
I agree 100%. Find somebody to go with. There's so many people out there that are willing to go out, and as a new off-roader, maybe the first time you go out with a crew, you're not quite sure, you're a little nervous or whatever. You know, they're going to help you out a lot. So don't be afraid. Just don't do anything stupid. Don't do any stunting. Don't think you're driving in the Baja 500 or anything. Just follow along, ask questions, be courteous. They'll help you.
The next tip, go prepared, guys. You never know what you're going to encounter when you're out on the trail for the day. So
yes, all his points on this are spot on, especially going with a full tank of fuel. Don't be that guy that's on the trail and starts asking people for fuel, because I can guarantee you they won't ask you to come out again.
I'll talk about is, and you know, you may not even think about this. This is something pretty simple, but this is your spare tire. Guys, check your spare tire before you.
Yes. Make sure your spare is easy to get to and has air in it. These people that do the spare tire deletes, they're just mall crawlers. You need a spare if you're overland, either soft-roading or wheeling hard. I've seen it many times when someone gets a flat and the rim is also ruined. Flat tire can be fixed. Broken rim, not so easily.
My next piece of advice, make sure that you have your jack in the Jeep. The factory jack that comes with your Jeep, or any vehicle for that matter, will do a pretty good job.
Yes, any kind of jack is going to help. If you get stuck in a rut or need a change of tire, you need a jack. He's right on this one, absolutely.
All right, the next piece of advice I want to give you is know a little bit about your rig. Whether you've got a Jeep or whether you have some sort of other off-road vehicle, know how to use it.
Yes, this is good advice. Some rigs can be hard to put in 4-low. If you are new to your rig, you may have to push the 4x4 selector fairly hard to have it pop into gear. As Casey says, you have to be in neutral. Park does not work for this maneuver. You may have even to let your rig roll a little to get it to slip into low range. I remember I used to have a Toyota four-wheel drive pickup truck, and it was a 5-speed manual, but sometimes it just didn't want to go in, didn't want to lock into 4 low. I had to push the clutch in and be on a little bit of a hill and just nudge it forward a little bit, and then click, it would go in. But sitting still, the thing wouldn't go in.
If you're going to be, say, disconnecting your sway bars, if you have a Rubicon, it has an electronic sway bar disconnect, maybe added aftermarket manual disconnects to your sway bar. Just understand.
I don't think a first-time off-roader needs to be confused with this bit of over-information. Sway bar links are like, that's way down the road. If you like wheeling and you want to do some mods, absolutely, this is a mod you're going to want to do. But first-time four-wheeler, don't worry about this. This isn't going to help you at all at this point in time.
If you've got a Rubicon and you're going to be using lockers, or you've got lockers in your Jeep, understand how that works as well. Okay, guys, the Rubicon lockers are a little bit particular.
First time off-roader? Yes, maybe. If you have a Jeep with them, or a Toyota FJ Cruiser, 4Runner, or a Tacoma, you may have them. Do you have lockers on your rig? Do you know how to use them? Let me know in the comments if you have lockers. Or are they aftermarket? First time four-wheeler I don't think would have aftermarket like ARB lockers, but maybe. You tell me.
So there's some essential gear that I think you should have in your Jeep before you even consider going off-roading. The first, get a first aid kit, guys. Make sure you have a first aid kit so you can deal with some minor injuries when you're out on the trail.
Yes, you should always have a first aid kit in your rig. You never know when you might need one. I don't care if you're just new to off-roading, or if you only drive on the pavement and you never go off-road, or what kind of car you drive. It could be a lowrider, it could be a sports car. It doesn't matter. You should have a first aid kit. There's so, what do I want to say? Not expensive. But man, to be able to stop bleeding if you come across an accident, or even yourself, you have a little accident, you slip and fall and cut yourself on something, first aid kit, boom. I've got one in my Jeep. And I've only got one vehicle right now, but when I had 2 vehicles, I had first aid kits in both. So, absolutely, get a first aid kit. You need it. You will need it. You never know.
Sort of safety thing I like to have are a couple emergency blankets. They're like those, they look like tin foil. Something happens and you stay a little bit warmer for a little bit longer. It's nice to have some emergency blankets in there.
I agree. This will probably fit in your first aid kit. They're small, compact, so if you got a decent sized first aid kit, you know, there's about that thick, that tall. Emergency blanket will fit right in there, and you never know. I always carry a blanket. Anyways, probably got 2 blankets right now that I just have in my Jeep. Yeah, have an emergency blanket. They're handy.
Emergency ponchos that fall off of Amazon. They're a couple dollars. You put them in your.
Yeah. I'm torn on this one. And if you get one of those emergency ponchos, it'll be torn pretty quick too, because they're just junk. You're probably better off with a garbage bag with a hole in it for your head and armholes, because that's about as good as a poncho is going to be. So carry a spare garbage bag. You should have a good jacket. If you're going off-roading, if you're going to go on an adventure, you should have a good jacket that's waterproof, or at least, you know, some protection from the winter. Like, put your winter jacket in your Jeep or your four-wheel drive. If you're going out, put the good jacket in there that will keep you warm in case you end up having A, walking out somewhere, or B, standing around outside while people are trying to get their rig unstuck. You can be out there and you might think it's going to be a 2-hour drive. 10 hours later, you're rolling in the driveway with a really dirty rig and you're sore and wet, and take a good winter jacket.
Okay, a couple other things that I think you should really have in your Jeep before you go off-roading as well. Some shackles. Guys, go out and grab a couple shackles. Good ones will.
Most people are switching over to soft shackles these days, but I agree with them on this one. As my winch still uses wire cable, and I do use metal shackles to hook up straps. On a side note, if you have your shackles on your recovery point while driving down the road, make sure you zip tie the bolt together so it can't back out when you're going down the road. I was on my way to Vegas in my FJ Cruiser, and I heard something thump on the pavement, and I look in my mirror and I see something red flying down the road behind me. I got pulled over, and what the heck was that? Walked up the road, found this thing, and this was a big honking shackle, and it backed itself off. And if there had been a car behind me, I would have been in a world of hurt. I was in the States, and you know how they like to sue your ass over there for the littlest thing. That had to hit somebody's car, gone through the windshield, man, I would have been in a world of hurt.
I really suggest getting a tow strap. If you haven't gone out and spent the money to buy a winch,
yes, even as a first timer off-road, you should have your own tow strap. These aren't very expensive. You can find them at four-wheel drive shops. You can find them at Princess Auto or Harbor Freight. Probably I don't ever go because I'm a Canadian, so I don't know what Harbor Freight has. But no, these things, order it online. But a recovery strap, absolutely, you should have one. And even if you're not really big into the off-roading, you never know when you'll come across somebody that just needs a tug to get back on the road again because it was wet or snowy or something. So, yeah, absolutely, get a recovery strap.
make sure that you have some attachment points to mount a winch or shackles too. Aftermarket bumpers or the factory bumpers on the Jeeps have tow hooks on the front.
Yes. First time out, your chances of needing to be recovered are good. Make sure you have a recovery point, front and rear. Sometimes, if you're in a pinch, those factory tie-down points, they'll work. But you should know where you can hook something up to your vehicle to get pulled back out. A lot of the vehicles that are off-road don't have recovery points, and I don't understand why not. But you need to know how to be able to recover your gear. If you're lucky enough to have a trailer hitch, you can get a pin, put a receiver through there, and put the strap into the pin, and then get yourself pulled out that way, or have a shackle on a receiver. Yeah, just don't tow off your ball. That's a no-no.
Now, the last piece of gear that I think is really important, but it's a little bit expensive, and you may want to think about this depending on how much off-roading you're doing, is a winch. I use my winch all the time. I can pull people out.
No, Casey, a first-timer doesn't need to have a winch. If you're going out with a group, you don't need a winch. I think you forgot your focused audience in this one.
Another really important piece of gear I think is a really good thing to bring with you is a fire extinguisher, and not one of those little 2-pound guys. I bring one of the larger 5-pound fire.
Yes, like a first aid kit, you need to have one of those mounted so you can get to it. Don't have it buried underneath your junk in the back somewhere where you have to go digging for it, because you never know. Maybe the back is on fire and you need to get your extinguisher that's under whatever's burning. Have it someplace where you can get to it really quick. I like the ones with the metal brackets that they snap down really good. The ones that are in the plastic ones, they rattle, and after a while they get dust in there and they squeak and they're a pain in the ass. And being from Canada, those plastic ones don't survive very well in the cold. So go to a safety supply store, spend the $14 on an ABC fire extinguisher. That ABC covers everything you're going to need to put a fire out in your car, and they don't freeze. So you can leave them in your car and they won't freeze because it's the powder inside.
Another thing to consider bringing with you guys is a radio. Find out what the people in your area are using for radios and go out and buy one.
Yes, a radio is so helpful. I have organized many runs when first timers or new off-roaders join the group, and I always suggest buy or borrow a radio, even if it's a FRS GMRS handheld. I had 3 of them, so I loan them out. More than likely, someone such as myself will have a pair and will let you have one, borrow one. I have VHF, CB, and FRS GMRS, and I use them all the time. If you like off-roading, you're probably better off with VHF setup. And once you get used to talking on the radio, it makes the trail ride so much more fun. Because if you travel by yourself, you can banter back and forth with your trail mates, and it's not only is it good for trail updates and information like, oh, we're turning here, or there's a log across the road, or Joe's got another flat tire, whatever, or something's going on. Someone's saying that my vehicle's acting up. Wait up for me, please, or come back and help me fix my truck. Radios are very, very helpful. However, that Bofang that Casey shows in his video is actually illegal in Canada.
So something else you may want to consider, and this will make your trip a lot more comfortable, is airing down your tires. There's several really good tire deflators out on the market, and if you do purchase one, understand how to use it.
Yes, even as a first-time off-roader, you should air down. Makes a huge difference. If you don't have an air pump, someone in the group will have one you can borrow to air back up again. Airing down does not require any special equipment for the first-time off-roader. You can use your fingernail, or you can use a small screwdriver, or you can use a key to let the air out of your tires. You should have a pressure gauge just so you can check the pressure and see where you're at. Those are handy, but you don't need the fancy stuff there that Casey's showing. It's just that's for later. That's when you get in, you realize you like it and you want to get into it. That should be one of the first things you get to, so you can air up and air down again. But that's a different topic.
Now, if you're not running beadlocks, I highly recommend staying above 15 psi in your tires. That way you don't risk rolling one of your beads off of your rim.
First timer probably will not have beadlocks, so Casey's kind of going overboard on this point.
So one thing that I absolutely make sure is always in my Jeep, and something else for you guys to consider, is tools. Make sure you have enough tools to at least change your spare tire.
Yes, I agree. You should bring at least a basic tool set to tighten things that may come loose or make minor repairs. Simple little things. Pliers, sockets, open-end wrenches. Just a basic kit, so you never know one day when you gotta just tighten up your battery post, for crying out loud. Just little things. Stuff happens on the trail. Stuff shakes loose. You just never know. So yeah, absolutely. Tools. Get a little teeny kit, put a little kit together, and have that on your to-go bag.
Is navigation of some sort. I like to have a tablet in my Jeep as well. I use an application called Backcountry Navigator.
No, not for the first time off-roader. Like Casey, I have a tablet that I use to navigate. But as a first time off-roader, you can use your phone to get home. I say that, but you should know where you're going before you leave and download Google Maps of that area. So if something happens and you have to leave the group, you can find your way home. Nothing worse than being on some Forest Service road and you can't remember what fork you took to get up there. And it all looks different going back down than what it does going up. So, and it's even worse if it snows or something and you're trying to get home and you don't know which road to take. But anyways, download a Google map of the area first or take a paper map. But you should have, you don't need a tablet. You don't need to be that advanced. There's so many things that you can do later on once you get used to going out and you want to plan a trip and stuff. Yeah, In the future, you're probably going to want one, but first time, not necessary. Overall, Casey has some good points, but in my opinion, he mentions things that are a little overkill for the first time off-roader. I'm not bashing Casey. I think he has good information in lots of his videos, and I like his videos. So I comment with him and he comments back. I comment with him on Instagram or whatever, and he's really good at communicating and keeping the communications open. He's not stuck up or he'll ignore you. Like he does answer people and he does communicate and he answers his comments on his YouTube channel. So yeah, he's a good guy for as far as that. He's pretty attentive to his audience. If you're not subbed to Casey, check out the link. I put it in the notification area down below, and give him some YouTube love. If you have any comments or suggestions for this video or any of my other videos, leave a comment and I'll get back to you. I do check my comments all the time. I interact with my people that ask me questions or make a comment. It doesn't have to be a question. You can just comment, criticize, critiques. That's all good. Just be polite. Don't get nasty, and it's all good. So yeah, if you like this video, just consider subscribing and sharing the video. You know, all that stuff the YouTubers say all the time at the end of the videos. Do that because it helps us get our stuff out there, and YouTube notices when we put out videos and we get interaction, we reply. You know, people are doing more than just sitting there looking at them, so it helps us out a lot. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy this one. It's not my normal format, but I just watched that video and I got my hackles up on some of the points he made. So I like Casey. He's a good guy. I'm not trying to put him down or anything. It's just that video. I think he went a little overboard, like I said before. So, and now I'm rambling on like an idiot. So I'm just going to shut up now and let the ending credits roll. So have a good day. Hope to see you on the trail sometime. Take it easy. Bye-bye for now. Hey, did you like this video? Comment, subscribe, and share my videos. Please consider becoming a Patreon. By the way, if you hammer on that bell icon, you will be notified when I release new videos. Please check out my social media. If you are on a computer, all the links are down below. And if you are on a mobile device, you can tap that arrow on the right below the video to see all the links. Thanks for watching. Remember, no matter where you are, you can always make your own adventure. Yes, this is good advice. Some rigs can be hard to cut. Yes, should always have a first aid kit. I think we just covered this. Maybe I should just go back and read the next line. Yes, a radio is so helpful. I've organized many runs. Cut.